Okay, we are on record, and I think we're getting pretty close to having people here.
I'm going to be popping in and out. I'll turn off my video if I'm not here in the studio.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thanks for saying something, Linda. Yeah. Okay. All right, Claudia's here. Mary Jane, hello. Okay, Jenny. Jenny from California. Yay.
How are you?
Wonderful. So nice to see you. Liz, up in the
Nice
top
to see
corner. Liz and Jenny.
How are you?
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Jen. How are you? You look
How are
great.
you? Oh, God. You all are a sight for sore eyes. I mean,
Good to see you.
oh,
That's
good to
it.
see you too.
Oh, wonderful. Jenny came to the International Association of Pastel Societies. We had this little East Coast group that was coming from Cape Cod, and Jenny joined us from California, and we had a wonderful, I think it wound up being about, 4 days in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Was it? No, it wasn't Santa Fe. It was Albuquerque. Albuquerque, which was wonderful. It's such a fabulous time.
Yeah.
Oh, I know they've postponed it. I believe it's not till 2023. I don't even know if they're going to go
Oh
in
my gosh.
2022.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read, which is, understandable. It's, you know what it is? I said to someone, it's the point of making commitments. It sounds like a great idea. I want to do a whole load of these things. But when it really boils down to actually making the commitment, I want to make sure everything's all safe and up and running. Hi, Susan.
Hi. Oh, I am not muted. Good.
There we go. Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll all start, with speakers on, and when I'm doing my, the demo part, telling you what I'm doing, you can stick yourself on mute, and clearly, me, interrupt, ask questions. That's absolutely fine. Part of the muting is that, hi Paula, part of the muting is that it helps reduce that background noise that everybody else hears, but we like hearing your voice. So we do like questions. So that's all right. Good, we got a nice group today. Nice number. Okay, I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to glance over every once in a while to see if anyone else has come in. I'm going to look at my little sticky note that I have here that reminds me to do things. So we're all right.
I'm going to go grab my barky dog.
Okay. Oh, so hopefully everyone's had a good month, Thanks for those that showed up last time and new people this time. Hi, Gloria. I see you too. Lisa. It's really, I really look forward to doing this because, some of that pressure of the very first one has been eliminated. Once you do it, then it doesn't feel so bad. And now that I feel that I have better web lighting, all that, it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable too.
You are inspiring.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
I'm thinking, oh my, I want to invite people to my studio. This is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And good.
And I did actually put on jewelry today. So, well, I always have earrings on, that, but I actually put a necklace on, and then I toyed with the idea of putting on lipstick. And I actually did, but I've had, I've been drinking my decaf coffee and it's probably not there anymore. So I did get slightly dressed up for today. So anyway, what I thought I would do today is, take you through the starting phase for one of my nighttime paintings. And I believe it was the first session in January that I did. I showed you how I do the nocturnes, that I block it in and make decisions from there. And, that I do as a sketch. Sometimes I actually do paint the nocturne onto the surface if I'm starting with a light color surface. But I'm going to be doing it on black UArt paper. So my nocturne actually has is really only used as a resource. So I am going to put myself on Spotlight, and what that will, oops, not mute. So what that will do, good thing I looked at my little, there. What that will do is if people talk, what Spotlight will do is it will hold my image there. We can still hear people speaking, but during the recording and during class, it means that you should wind up just seeing me. Let's admit all again. Just doing a little stall here to make sure I get everybody in. Okay, joining. Now I have to remember where I left off. Okay, this is the photograph. Now, a lot of times when you print out a nighttime photograph, it's really super dark, okay? And you can see that. You know, I've lost a lot of the images in here, whatever's back there, which truthfully is not bad, because if you're just trying to plan simplicity, it's wonderful not to see all the details back there, because who the heck needs to paint them all, okay? And that's one of the things you want that I try to be careful of with photographs, is not getting trapped and sucked into the photograph. It's just my starting point. So what I did for this, because there were certain things in the background I wanted to be able to see, I have Photoshop, so I got into Photoshop and I lightened it so that I wound up having an image that gave me a little bit more probably actual light. I mean, it was just a photograph I took from my phone. So the reality of it is it's not going to be as accurate as if I had a really nice camera and I knew how to, and I actually then also know how to use it and I'd get good photographs. So this here is the one that I'll be using. In my sketches, though, there were certain things that I wanted to switch around. You know, partly is it's a great photograph. It's got a lot of activity. I had to think about what it is that I'm really trying to promote or say in my painting. And there is this balance here of this woman that's on her own. There's some figures that are back here that are a little bit more subdued, but it's really that tension sometimes in that, you know, conflict of moving objects and lights and a lot of busyness and activity. I'm just gonna stop for somebody is not on mute. And if you could just mute, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. We all need reminders. So that's okay. I usually need a reminder to do something. So so in the process of doing that, there's a couple of compositional things that were an issue. First of all, the traffic light post is right smack in the middle of the painting. Okay. So I had to decide whether I wanted to shift the whole painting around, what I wanted to do. And I decided I really liked that little bit of space that was between the road sign and the traffic light pole. And I just condensed it. So I wound up with like a little sliver. I don't really want all that to be showing here. So by moving it in closer here, I wound up creating more of a mass between these two very vertical shapes. This vertical shape back here, gone, got rid of it, don't need it. If I want to put it in later, I can. And I also had to find out where my eye view line was, also referred to as a horizon line. So any of these windows back here that have lights in them, I have at least the correct angle on the lit part. Not going to do all the detail of the building, but it's those lights coming from the windows. So I've got that taken care of. That I did all before you came. And let me just check. I got one more person here. So what I'm going to do is, you can see I have a charcoal drawing on here, and I do a variety of things. If I'm working on the black paper, I'll use charcoal when I am painting something that's a nighttime scene. I tend to use new pastel, various shades of red if I'm doing a daytime scene. I'm just going to hit mute all. There we go. Okay. Does everyone hear that odd noise. I did mute everyone. Okay, good. So anyway, so I've got that all in here, and you can see that we've got this lovely vertical that's coming down, and the vertical's coming down in the manner of the lights that are here. The angles of the lit windows, which you really can't see. We've also got this lovely area right here, which is a little bit more calm. People walking on the street, the woman standing at the light. And then we've got really all this activity and busyness that's happening over here on this, just less than half of this size of vertical. I was pretty careful trying to not put it right smack in the middle. Beauty of charcoal, I can just go in and just take out some of these areas. So first thing I'm going to do is come in here with, oh, I got to put this on. I've been using this invisible hand cream. It's this barrier cream, so I don't have to use those latex, well, they're not latex, those surgical gloves. One, they were hard to find, and then two, it seems like I hated the idea of putting all that back into the environment, and this is actually working out really good. I've gotten used to it. I used to not like it, so it's amazing what we do. Okay, so over here, I've got my little sheet. I'm going to start testing some swatches of color over here. And I'm going to start with some of my dark. I tend to put them dark to light, bottom up. It's a little lighter. That's nice. That's a nice color. Now here's a nice violet. I'm not really sure if I'm going to use much of that, but it is a nice dark color, so I'm going to keep it here. Because that sky, when you wind up, we've got this lovely red that's happening in this area. I'm going to use a hard pastel for that. Squinting my eyes, that's really more right about here. Middle, dark, light. We've got this lovely aqua orange. I mean, aqua orange, there you go. How about an aqua blue? Okay, that's a little lighter than that, so I'll put that here. I'm just looking at the big colors that are happening. Okay, I like this one better. This has got a little bit more of an electric feel. I'm looking for colors that are vivid right now, because those are the first ones I'm going to put in. I'm going to get in vivid colors, and then I'm going to start having areas where the vivid colors are going to merge with their counterparts of more muted colors, because I want the activity that's in the painting. Okay, this guy belongs up here. I want that activity to be really inviting. Okay, got some nice food. Okay, I need a really bright, there's no oranges in the photograph, but I am, oh, here's a nice red. Oh, look at that red. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, look at that red. That's a really nice red. Usually I take the wrappers off. Sometimes if I have a pastel that I'm afraid I'm going to not remember the color, I leave half of it in a wrapper. And let's go for, I had a really nice orange. Okay, the vivid colors are the hardest ones to tell their value, because they are so incredibly vivid, bright, that what happens is we see that and we don't see its value, how light or dark a color is. One thing you can do is just take a black and white photograph. You know, I just tend to squint all the time, and that kind of gives me an idea. And I'm not actually looking for perfection at the moment. So I'm all right there. Let's throw it. Okay, so I've got yellows and I've got oranges and blues. I've got a variety of, there, that guy goes right there. And I really want another pretty bright one. Oh, let's see this. This is light. Okay, this guy. Oh, good. Look at him. Okay. All right, so gonna block in that sky. The beauty of the charcoal, for those of you that are pastel painters, unless you're doing something that's super, super light, which I've never had a huge success with charcoal and keeping the charcoal out of the light, the charcoal is just gonna kind of blend in with the painting. So you don't have to worry about that black interfering with the colors unless you're doing the super light super light colors. So I'm going to take the darkest blue that I pulled out here. And I am just going to start getting in big, bold shapes. Okay, and this here I'm kind of blocking in. And I can come out and I can, that's the shape of that light post there. Sometimes when I'm doing a demo, you may hear me and then you may not, or I may start a comment and then I may not finish it. Okay, I don't want to get too close in here because that's pretty bright. It's pretty dark over there. That's a really nice blue. I'm going to bring the sky. So I'm thinking of a design at the moment. Okay, so what's happening is this is busy and active, and that's all happening in that top third of the painting. Calm, a little bit more relaxed feel with the people walking, less activity with color and lights, but a great contrast between dark and light is happening down here. So this is my idea. That's why I'm trying to keep this kind of coming downwards over here. Okay. And then we've got buildings there, so I'm not going to go there. Okay, let's get into some of these bright colors. Okay, I'm going to break that one that was in the wrapper so I can get this super bright red. And these big strokes here, you can just go right around. I'm going to just get, okay, I'm not worried about that circle. It's kind of looking a little, I realized I put it way too close to the top of the edge of that paper. Usually I'm paying more attention to that. So, okay, and then that. So this starts out really nice and bold. Big shapes. I'm going to go over some of the lines that I drew. No big deal. You know, oops, get in there. Red, got a little red that's happening down here. I'm going to put a couple little markers to remind me that I moved the car a little. I did not move the car on this side. I moved the car on this side. So I'm going to have to make sure. And we've got some cars that are right there. Just put a little line. We've got a lovely little reflection that's, oh, there's a light that's falling right here. But what I have to be careful of is where is that light falling from? Because I move things around. So I don't think that it would really be falling way over here because I moved that light. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little bit more red there. Okay, and I just put a couple of verticals. Remember I said I had my horizon line. This is this line right here. So I'm going to just make sure I'm drawing these on that angle. That's where that reminds me of. So maybe there's some. Okay, red, red, red. Okay, the red's over here. I'm not going to, oh, let's see. I'm not going to worry about putting any red over there for now. Let's get the next bright color in here. And I raised that a little bit. What I was trying to do here is I did not want the lights that are around the people that are walking here the same height as this green traffic light. So I have dropped that. Oh, it's not really looking as bright as I thought it was. I can always change that up. Got little bits of green that are falling around this. There's a signage on the one post. So I see, this is a beauty. What I'm doing is I'm really carving out so that sign is there. But what I'm doing is I'm putting the lights that I'm seeing around it so that it shows up because I've carved around it. I've got some nice light that's falling on the tops of some of these cars, which are going to go farther back. And I may change that color later. Okay, this guy's got to be higher up. And I'm going to break him. No, I don't want to put any of the really lights in. Really disappointed. It's not really as bright as I thought. You know, sometimes colors look brighter depending on what they're around. Okay, these guys are white lights, but I'm not gonna put the white in now. I am going to put in a yellow. Geez, you know what I've noticed? It's mostly the unisons that I keep in wrappers. I'm just double checking that. Yes, I am recording. Okay, so don't worry about it turning into a circle. I'm just blocking in where I see the core of that light. Remember, I want these lights to feel like they're going farther back. I'm exaggerating the photograph a little. This guy's a little close to the edge. I'm going to move him over. I'll skinny him up later. I've got these lovely lights that are happening back here. In between, there's the trees. I think I'm just going to put a couple more. Okay, this whole area back here is pretty light. That's where I had that green. So I'm just gonna, tops of the cars here. So I'm just gonna go around them. See edges of cars here that are catching some light. I'm gonna put a little there. And this is where, now she's gonna start to show up. I'm not using my lightest color yet. I'm using a light yellow, but I'm going to get, oops, I think I might have made her head a little too big. I just was teaching class yesterday. We were doing a whole thing on figures, and it's very easy to make a head when you're doing figures too big. And that's what tends to make them look like they're cartoon characters. Okay, so I've got people that are back here. This lady's kind of standing there. So I'm gonna just put her a little bit on standing mode. This person, we're gonna have a little skinny. See the way the legs are just showing up? This carving out is a really great way of getting it. This person, there we go. And then these guys are all starting to merge together. There's like a group of people right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a rough outline. It's almost as if, oh, actually that kind of looks like they're standing around talking. I like that. I'm going to get that pretty light over here. I'm starting really exaggerating. And I can tone things up. So that little group of people is coming out pretty nice. And with all these, especially with the extra lights I put back there, that makes sense now. Not as many lights back there. And feel free, if you want to interrupt, ask a question. Okay, lights, lights, lights. Anything else? I got a lovely light right over here. I don't want this to be a solid, so I'm going to just go like that. Now, the second light, this is where when you switch a photograph around, I'm just going to look at my sketch for a second. When you switch a photograph around, this other light is not going to show up. So I have to remember that this is a black box that's here. So what's catching some of the light is going to be the, oh, you know what? I'm going to use a blue for that. I'm going to use a light blue for that. Because that's not actually a light, it's catching some of the light. So, and I know a lot of you are probably used to the fact with pastel, a lot of times we say start with the work from dark to light. I have a habit when I am doing my nighttime scenes is I get it drawn in black. And then what I do is I put in all the areas that are light because I want that carved out feeling. Okay, this is curved, so I have to make sure and get these lines so that they're slightly curved. So the side of this pole, the second pole is showing up, and then there's also light that's hitting the top here. I moved it so it's behind the do not turn right sign, but there is still light falling on it. Put a little there, and there's a little bit of light here. This is one of these situations, and I know I say it all the time to my students, don't paint something if you don't know what it is. I really don't know what that is, but it's just a rectangle, so I'm gonna keep it in there. And if it doesn't work later, I'll take it out. I'm pretty sure it's just another sign, or maybe it's the posts that come out or something. Okay. This guy's forward. So even though the post here is catching the light, these guys here are catching light, but in a different way. It's a more subdued, oh gosh, the word's escaping me. It's not direct light. It's just, it's in the next phase. Okay, car, bottom of the car. So I'm going to use this same blue. It's something that I tend to do is I start out with fairly simple color palette. Okay, that's the front of the car. And then as I go along, I add more colors to it. I'm just going to put that on pretty lightly. This is a little bit, again, the light that's coming through. I'll let some of that black paper show through, come out. Not going to actually.
Betsy, I have a question.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
I haven't worked a lot with black paper because vivid colors I find jarring, but that I can get used to. I'll give it another try. How does this paper wipe off if you make a mistake or if you pick a color you don't like?
That's a good
Does it
question.
behave? In what
It-
ways does it behave differently? I know you can't wet it. What are the colors are more vivid on same color, dark
Mhm.
paper. What are some of the other changes?
Okay, a couple of things is one, if I was going to take off a color, I mean, it's the same thing on the other UArt. It does leave a little bit of a halo on it. You
Right.
can get black, you can get black UArt wet. I just
Yeah.
don't,
Oh.
because what I'm doing is I'm almost doing a reverse painting. So I want the black to stay
Yeah.
there. So I'm not bothering to add
Yeah.
any color, but you can add any paints to
Okay.
UArt's great.
Okay.
The other
All
thing
right.
that's different about working on black is your colors look different on black.
Yeah,
let's see.
Big
So
time.
that's why I have this over here.
Yeah.
Because these same colors over here.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that looks totally different over there than it does here. You know, if I get that.
You
red
find
one.
that when you, Betsy, when you go to choose colors, have you worked on black paper enough that you kind of mentally dial it down? Like if you go to look for red and you know you're on black, you're going to kind of dial it down when you look in your pastel box and go with one that's not as intense because the paper already intensifies the colors.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trial and error for me, I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the best way to think about it is really that trial and error, so that what you do is you get in there and you just,
Yeah.
That's why
Okay.
this over here is so handy. And
All
I
right,
do
yeah.
start with pretty bright colors. So I
Okay.
am looking for that. And what I'm gonna, as I go along, if I think of anything that actually relates to
Okay.
what you asked me, I
Sure.
will.
Yep.
I will throw that in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna give a little light. There's a band of trees that are here. Oh, look at that. There's actually more trees over here. This is Boston, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. And I'm gonna bring this over because I really want the edge of this to start showing up. So I am going to just do a little bit of edging so I can see the side of that box there. And that's going to kind of like fade away. And if I put this in now, it's going to get all smeary looking. So I don't want that. This same color, I usually try to look for other places to put the color. And I have a feeling that this, although it's a green, I can mute it later. I am going to get some of this same green down here. I'm going to carve out the edge of the sidewalk that's here. I can use the shading that's going on because although I moved this post here, I have to get in there and add this stuff that's in between it, don't I? And she's kind of standing on this like little, I can't tell if she's going to the gym or if she's out of work, you know, coming out of work, what she's doing. I like this green color. There's this little shadow that falls up here. So I am going to have that go right around the bottom of the post. And that's a little too fat, but that's all right. I can make him skinnier later. Bring it over, falling on the edge here. And it looks like there's, there, I'll just put that. Okay, see now her feet are starting to show up. I'm gonna get a more muted blue. This one here, there's a lot of light. I used a brighter blue. So I want a blue I'm gonna start shifting into my more muted colors now. Got her edge. But you know what, before I do that, we've got a little bit of light that's hitting the front of her. For these little markers, for me, work out really well because they just remind me where some of this light is that I don't want to forget about. Oh, there's some more light under here. There's pots and there's other stuff. Okay, let's leave that alone. Okay, this was a blue, so I'm going to get a variation on the blue, and this one's about the same value. Little darker, that's okay. And it is a little bit more of a violet color. So I'm going to just come across. We're going to get the end of her jacket here. A little light, let that black paper show through. And I can shape up her legs later. But now I'm just going to carve out her legs. Going to carve out her leg over here. Side of this, even though it doesn't look like it has a side, you can kind of create a side. Again, it's really getting used to. This is where, oh, look what I did. Okay, this is where we whip out the brush. Remember what I said when you switch a photograph? Okay, Lisa, this is what happens. Even though I'm brushing it out, it's not going to go back to total black. And if that was really going to bother me, what I would do is I would take rubbing alcohol, a clean brush, rubbing alcohol or water, and I would just put that down to get it as dark as I could. But you just need to work on it to get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay, but I can use something dark on top. I started covering up the edge of the, here it comes down here, and there we go. That's the edge of the post. It's coming over. There's her legs. See the way her legs, isn't that? This carving stuff is just like so much fun because you really do get, okay, there's another perspective thing that's happening here. So I'm just gonna put like a little bit of an edge there. Okay, and then that's gonna give a little bit of a feeling as if there's a curve over there. And I'm gonna vary that color, but I think I'm just gonna, okay, I'm gonna use this up here. And I'm just going to, okay. Okay, so see this muted, these muted colors, even though that's got a little bit more of a chroma, for lack of a better word, to it, these muted colors here are just kind of balancing off the areas that are light. That's dark. Okay, here we go, a little there. Okay, take some of the same color and I'm going to parts of the building that are catching light. I can use that. Okay, there's what you, if you've seen my work, you know I love telephone poles and wires. There's telephone poles and wires there, but I am not going to paint them at the moment. Okay, there we go. Let's just, okay, no, not liking the way that's looking. I'm just gonna come down straight. And that pole comes all the way down here. Okay. Because there's a lot of light here, even though there's, I'm going to make, this here is just going to represent another pole that's catching light farther down. Not, I will not put that big long one in there. I mean, if I do, I'll be putting it in at the end because I need it, not because it's in the photograph. So right now, it is, that's it. I'm going to just put because with all that light back there, the poles would be catching some light. I want that to feel pretty dark, so I'm just going to put a few right in there. Okay, hopefully you're seeing the shape of the painting show up. A lot of light over here, so it will be catching on the top. It's not showing up in the photograph, but I moved things around, and this is probably catching light there. It's probably catching a little light here, less so here, so I'm not going to go crazy doing too many lines. That's going to stay dark. Okay. No.
Betsy, what is that you just put in? Is that on the right, on the blue? Is that an overhead sign?
This here, yeah, it's the post that comes out that holds the traffic light for the people that are on.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, I
Okay.
assume that's what it is. And if it doesn't work, I'll take it out. I've left out other things. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
There's some windows back here. I'm gonna use. No, now here's something to consider. I don't want to use the same color I use for pavement and for building that's lit for the inside of a window, but I want about this value. So I am going to choose a color that is a little muted. Let's see this. Violet. No, I don't think I want a violet. I think I'm gonna. It's okay. So this is it's a light color, but and these are like so soft. Look at it. These are blue earth. They're coming right off in my hand. I've got some windows back here, so I'm gonna just put these windows. I'm gonna stop there. Okay. Too busy here, not putting any more windows there. We're gonna have a couple of windows that are a little more muted because they're going farther back. So I'll put them there. None over here. I'm gonna use this same color. That's a person, Betsy. But you know what? Since that's the second time I've done it, I'm going to go in and get some of these because they're just charcoal. That's going to just wipe off. You know, that's not going to stay there. I'm going to lose that eventually. So I am going to get a pretty dark color in there to represent the figures. I don't tend to use black very much at all in my paintings, so I'm going to see. Oh, that guy's not dark enough. See, look at how dark this looks. Oops, where's that paper? Here we go. Look at how dark this is. Okay, I put it over here. Well, you can hardly see it. It's about the same color as the paper. So this guy's not as dark. I need something darker than the paper. Okay, this is a really dark brown. I can see that. See that? I don't want to put it there. Here, I'll put it here so you can see it here. Well, maybe you can't see it. Anyway, I'm going to just get that brown in there. And this is, oh wow, this one's even better. This is a really super, super, super dark. It's got like a violet edge to it. It's a really dark, really dark violet. It's actually looks very black, but it does turn out to be black, and I've just rushed. Then I'll just put a color on top of it. I always feel as if black sucks the life out of color. It absolutely creates a value contrast. So it does do that. I mean, you know, that goes without saying. But if you're trying to, and I'm always looking at color interactions, and if I use black, I feel like I am not creating a color interaction. All I'm doing is creating a really dark area, and I want to be able to see a color interaction. So this one may actually be black. I may have been exaggerating my color prowess when I said it was a dark violet. But these little areas, I don't want to have them. I want to accidentally paint over these figures. So I am just, see, I started to right there. So I'm just gonna get the black. So I think it is black now that I'm looking at it. Well, it's certainly standing out. She's got a little bit of light falling right there. She's got a little bit of light falling there. She's got this lovely light that's falling around her shoulder and her hair. And I'm going to come in and just bring a little bit. There we go. Just to soften that edge a little bit with that blue. And I know before I did that, I was thinking of doing something. For the life of me, I don't know what it was. There's a neutral. Okay. So you can see what happened. There's a circle here. I'm going to put kind of a dull color here. It's and I'm going to carve out the circle. And if it looks a little chunky, that's okay. Now UArt blends quite easily. So if people like to blend, you know, I love pastel matte. Pastel matte's dark paper. That's too wide over there. I'm gonna have to come in. Pastel matte's dark paper is not as dark as, well, let me just go sideways, as the UArt. So I have kind of shifted and started using more of the UArt if I'm not making my own surfaces. And I can come in and I can pick up the light on this guy and I can get the dark around the edge, but I've got, gosh, that's really crazy goofy. Okay, that's all right. Oh, look at the back of the signs. Okay. This guy's probably going to wind up being a little lighter. And this is where this nice shape shows up in between the two right there. Okay, these edges, I can sort them out later. And I got rid of both of those signs. I only put one. Since there's no words on them, I've just got the back of it. I'm just gonna have to make that look like a sign. And let me get my dark out. And this is what I need to get back in. The dark here, and he's got, and then he's kind of, oh my gosh, Betsy, what have you done here? There's the, there we go. Get the post in first, Betsy, before you start going crazy. There, that's what I did. Okay, the car's here, which I'll get the car in. I have to spend, I love cars, I do cars a lot, but I do have to, it takes, for me, it takes a lot more cerebral energy to actually do the car. So I just am going to get in just some of the dark shapes, and some of these lights. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. And there we go. Coming this way. It's a little short. I'm probably going to have to pull them out here. And then we've got the side view mirror. And this. And then we've got another. And we've got lots of. So didn't I say I hardly ever use black? Well, anyway, this is definitely black. I can't pretend it's like a dark violet. It's black, but it's doing the trick. I want you to be able to see the dark areas. So you're seeing it, and I can just get rid of as much dark as I want. But this is the only color I had that I was pulling out that was really obviously darker than the black paper. So it's going to do the trick of getting those dark areas blocked in now. Okay, lights on this side, so shadows on that.
Betsy,
Yeah.
it's Paula. If you wanted to, not that it strikes me as particularly looking flat from here anyway, but if you wanted to, having laid a black pastel down, you could add other colors on top of it and give it some dimension if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, because the black right now is serving the purpose of me not losing those shapes that I carved out. And, you know, yeah, and I'm looking here and I want to be able to actually to you see what I'm seeing here, the clarity looks really good. So,
It's very good.
yeah, so
It's great.
hopefully, isn't it? Oh my gosh, thank
Yeah.
goodness. Thank goodness. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so I can come in. So for instance, if I wanted her, see, I would not decide on the color of her coat or her hair until I had the painting more done, there's more completion, because I wouldn't want to repeat color. See, I'm kind of thinking of burgundy, because I've got lots of red over here. The red's creeping over this way. I'm kind of thinking that little burgundy color may work on her dark coat, but that's something that I would do really towards the end. This in here is a lot of trees, so I'm going to look for a dark bluish green. Okay, and that's that host. So I'm gonna just do a lot of upward strokes here. Okay, we've got a little tree over there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little of that bluish color back there too. And this is like super dark in here. I search out my dark colors, because boy, I'll tell you, it is just amazing how I can carve her out. Get her head a little bit smaller. I did do it a little bit too big when I was trying. Oh, let's just get a cone head coming in. This is really the very much of a block-in phase. Okay.
Betsy, when you get to her head towards the end of the painting, because she's so close to that green turquoisey light, will you probably have some highlights in her hair of that greeny, some green in her hair, because the reflected light?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, what's going to happen? It's going to be more of see, if I put too much on here, what's going to happen is I think it's going to feel as if she's really close to that light. And she's not. The light's off across the street. So I don't want that conflict to happen of that is across the street and this is near her. So she's catching light, but is she catching, how much of the green light is she catching as a halo? So,
Gotcha.
so I would probably choose something that was more of a, okay, see, look at that. Okay, this green here is lighter.
Yep.
So I would probably choose this lighter green. And then I
So it's
may
more
actually,
of a grade, that's
yeah,
more of a grade green.
yeah, it's a lighter value too. So it's not
Yeah.
the exact same color. So I would wind up, and this is what's nice about the UArt. You can get in and you can use the side of your fingers if you really like to. See this line here is too harsh. Yep.
What grit UArt are you using?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really remember what the black was. Just a second. Okay, well, heaven knows where the thing is. I think it's 400. So it's,
It is.
yeah, so it is
Okay.
one of their coarser ones.
Yep.
When I use the typical UArt, I tend to use the 4, 5, and 600. I like that middle ground. If I use the 600, because I'm a pastel matte person, sometimes I feel like the UArt, that's the really fine grade, it does my strokes disappear way too quickly. So I really do prefer the coarser. Okay, so I'm looking here, I'm getting distracted. This is what I want. The sky is going to be lighter than the objects here, even though it's nighttime, because these objects here are not catching a lot of light. We've got little miscellaneous lights. So I have to make sure and get in here, and this area here has to get a little darker than it is, but that's my key. And I'm gonna take and bring a little bit. But I do like the UR. Is this the same one I was using? Yeah, it is. I'm going to just take and just bring a little bit of that in here. That, and don't forget that angle, because that's the perspective coming down. And oh yeah, I was coming around the edge of the, and this is pretty light in here, a lot of light coming down where these cars are. So now I'm going to carve out where the cars are in the front. I'm really going to have to get back in here with this car here because I've kind of lost the front edge. Let's just make this car, I'm going to do it in red so you can see it. I've got to come back in. I've got to get the front of that car there. And, oh geez, where did my, oh yeah, there it is. Holy moly. And there's the, there we go, side view mirror. Okay, there's a little jumble that's happened in here and I'm not really sure what I did. Yes, I see what I did. That is not the car there. Holy moly. Okay. Yeah, sometimes when I talk and paint, I kind of lose track of what the heck I'm doing. There's the car window right there. I'm going to put that in so you can see it. Lots of light happening back here. Edge of the car there. Okay, so I'm going to shape this guy. He's turning a corner, so he's kind of got like this little funky angle he's on. And there's his back tail lights, side of the car. Let's just get some of that red, and I'm just going to put it in. I like red cars. I mean, I've never owned a red car, but I like painting red cars. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this in so you can see the car. Okay, that angle I have right here is wrong. I can see that. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit more like this. And again, just carving out that. Okay, so that looks better. And the colors are doing a little bit of a bleed there, but that's okay. And I have to come in and get that side view mirror raised up a little bit. And I brought the car in a little bit because the photograph has got this car right on the edge. And I really like the way this car just kind of created this space down here that was filled with something. And if I'm trying to create the sense of a lot of motion and conflict and small spaces, I needed something there. So I kept the car there, but I did move it in. There we go. And when we get a darker violet here, here's a darker violet. Let's come around there. There's a little, we'll just put that little bit there as a little bit of a marker. And there's just a little bit there. We'll put that there. And going to come in, come across, add a little bit of the shadows. See, and this guy again, see, I'm back to using more muted colors. And little dark spots right here. And there's the sidewalk going off in the distance, so we'll get that there. I think I might use that just a little bit underneath some of those guys. He may also be good for some of these edges of the, yeah, for the building. And it would start to lose the building up here because there's so much light that's happening. Okay, I'm gonna have to look on this. Oh, that's the dark, so let me get the dark in here. Oh, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. No, it's not. This here is the edge of this. This is there. Let me get this here. Just going to put a light color here just so that I don't lose my sense of, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter than it actually is, and I'll tone that down later. It's just I've already twice lost that edge. So I'm just going to do that. I feel as if I want to bring, I've got this kind of slopey thing happening here. So I'm just going to, and I don't want it to end at the same point as the top of this thing. So I'm going to just bring it down a little bit. So this is near us, it's high. I want it to feel like it's high. So I don't want the trees taller than that. And that's going to increase that field. Let me break that up a little bit. Those trees are going down, buildings, edge. Let's get back in here. Let's do that. Sky. I feel like I want to put this blue someplace else. Could use this on her coat, but I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit too intense of a color, but maybe not. I'll just put a little bit of it there just to see if I like it. Oh, she could have burgundy leggings on and a blue coat. Maybe that's not going to work. Okay, let's just look at this. Okay, a couple areas. What I'll do now.
Hey, Beth,
Yeah,
it's Paula again. I realize it's your painting, not mine, but how about some red, really muted out, way down in the front of whatever that is, the sidewalk? The bottom right corner. You see where it's kind of, no, all the way down.
down here.
Yeah. See how, at least to my eye, it almost has a pinkish cast, I'm assuming from those red lights.
Yeah.
All of where your hand is on the screen looks pink.
Right, so this light here could be reflecting, could be casting some light down here. I just have to move it over because it's not going to be much there. Oh, let me put it there. That may actually work. This is not, because I'm not going to put the red that's here and here until I finish the car, because I don't know where that red would be. Because I
Yep.
kind of move the post, so I have to be careful. But we could have a little of it falling right in here. Okay. So this turned out a little bit light. And I want it to feel a little bit more muted back here. So I'm just going to take and just wipe that. And this is the point at which I would try to decide. This is about the point that I would come in and I would be leaving it alone, figuring out, these guys are really like these cars that are back here. And I'm going to have to carve those guys out. I need to make this darker. And these halos of color, but what I need to do is I've got yellow in there. I'm going to put just...
Betsy, Betsy,
Yeah.
a few years ago, didn't you have a really cool pastel you did of like downtown Falmouth? Yeah, I remember years ago seeing it on a Facebook page, like at
Yeah.
the stores. It was kind of at night.
Yeah, that would have been P-Town. I did quite a few of P-Town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Street
remembered it really, your name stuck with me and I associated with that painting.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I'm putting a bright white just in the middle of some of these guys here. Yeah, I love the nighttime scenes. I take a lot of nighttime photographs. Let's get some of these guys back in there. I lost a little of that shape that I liked, so I'm gonna have to work on that. We've got a little light that's hitting a few of these spots. So I'm gonna have to come in. I don't want to do too much because I really have to get in and look at where the light's hitting the top of these cars. So I thought, oops, light. This area is really lit. I'm gonna come down with that there. Okay. This is the point at which I would start to fiddle because I really have not stepped back. I haven't looked at it. I've got all the shapes blocked in. I'm going to leave it painterly looking. I'm not going to get in there with a pastel pencil or anything and get a lot of little small details, but I do want to firm up shapes and looking at it. This is a great thing to do. If you have a mirror, well, of course you all have mirrors, but if you use a mirror to look at the reverse of your painting, your brain shifts and you can actually see if what you were trying to do is work. It works really great on figures, buildings, faces, because you're getting the reverse look, and you can see if like, oh my gosh, the eyes are cockeyed, and you've been looking at it so long, and its natural position, that on a flip, on a reverse, that you can see that, let's say the eyes are off, the building is actually slanting the wrong way. Our brain kind of confuses us sometimes, and it looks like we're doing okay. And then the next thing you know, something looks awry. I think you guys are looking at it pretty dead on. I know there's a little bit of a slant just because of the angle of the board and everything, but it looks like it's pretty close to it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there for now. Before I start mucking about. Oh, I like the edge of this is looking good. Okay, it looks like, okay, this car will work out. I like the way he's kind of split. I'm gonna have to just get the back of him sorted out because it is different than the photographs. I gotta spend time on that. Dark, okay, this is bringing me in. I've gotta have this lovely wedge of light that's here. Light's gonna mute off over here. We're gonna pick it up here. I'm probably gonna tone down some of that yellow. I'd probably choose a cooler color, push it off a little bit. And I want a little bit more of a contrast. I got to find a darker color for these trees that are here. And some of these areas that I did black, like I put a little brown in her hair, and I put a blue over her coat. And then, I don't know if you saw me do that. I didn't quite finish it, but let me just use the zoom. Sometimes when I zoom, the image does get a little pixelated, but okay, so you can, yeah, so you get a close-up view. See, I love all these kind of marks. I mean, I need to tidy up some of them, but I'm not going to go crazy. See, just that little bit of light, that little hint that's falling there, the light here, sort something out. If you squint your eyes, see the color of the sky and the color of the trees, it's definitely darker. For me, it's not dark enough. I feel like it needs to be much darker than that. So I will make that darker.
Betsy, what would you do with the sign? Would you actually put in the whole arrow and the thing and everything?
Yeah,
or would you just...
I would, but I wouldn't angst about getting out my ruler and drawing it straight and everything. I guess that's what I mean when I say painterly. I'm just gonna just shift this around so I can move that out of the way. That's what I mean by painterly, is like I'm not going to get in there with a ruler and try to get straight edges and all that other jazz.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want it to be crazy cockeyed, but I do want it to feel like a painting, a little bit more of the personality showing through. And I do have a pretty neutral color down here. So I'll probably play around with light be hitting some areas. Actually, when you do signage, to tell you the truth, especially words and things like that, don't write the whole word out. Kind of like, those, when you see, I'm trying to think of where you would have seen them, where you have to fill in what word is this, and they leave out some of the lines. So then your brain has to fill it in to do that. So it doesn't.
Wheel of Fortune.
Well, there you go. And I know I've seen it different places too. It's well, I know we used to use it teaching kids who were having difficulty with letter recognition. Is you give them parts of a letter, and it's almost like dot to dot, even when they're little and they're learning their letters. Is to I'm going to remove spotlight so I can see everybody, and put you guys on gallery view. There you go. So happy to take any questions, and I will, definitely show you the finished one. I've got a couple of shows coming up that, I mean, they're jury shows, so you never know whether you're going to get in or not. But, I've been working on a few nocturnes, including the one that I did in January. Well, you saw the notan of it. But Katuitt Center for the Arts is having a nocturne exhibit. So that would be really fun to get in that. And this is the time at which all the national jury shows start ramping up. So I'm working on things to, get ready to enter in shows. And one of my classes, we're spending more time on figures. The other class, I'm just introducing them. But Claudia, who's here, she had, sent information about next week is this 100 people. I wrote it down. 100 people in 1 week. But they kind of fibbed on that one because I looked it up and it's not really 7 days, it's 5. So it's 100 figures
Yeah.
in 5 days. But for the people who were in my classes yesterday, is that real quick way where you just do gestural drawings. You can get a lot done in a short amount of time. So that's one of my goals. That, and I was also telling people that not every night, but twice a week at least, I try to sit and when we're watching Greater Boston on GBA, Greater Boston, or if we're watching, help me here. What's the one right after it or right before it? Oh, PBS NewsHour. The Zoom people. I sit there and I sketch the Zoom people so that they're looking right at the camera. They're not moving around and the lighting's usually pretty good. And for, a few minutes, they might flip back and forth, but everyone stays very stationary. And I've been working on sketching people during the NewsHour, which has worked out really well. So any questions, comments, anything you'd like to know? I'll keep it over my shoulder if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'd like to know your, I have been sort of not doing that much work because I have another commitment that I've had to, I'm kind of a deacon for my church. So I've had to, do 2 services a week.
Yes.
So now I'm trying to put back more painting, into my schedule, weekly schedule. What is your schedule basically when you work? I mean, in terms of the construction of your week, how do you discipline yourself to do more work?
Well, I can be pretty disciplined, but I can also get distracted easy. So my family kind of knows when I say I'm going to go work that, typically they need to leave me alone. I also work part-time for my husband. So Monday afternoons is a painting day. That is usually when I say a studio day. That's usually when I try to get set up. I'm thinking of what I'm going to do for the week. I teach 2 classes, so I kind of do a little prep work for the 2 classes. Tuesday morning, I'm also in the studio, and that tends to be more related to what am I going to be teaching on Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon. So that I do Tuesday morning. Wednesday, it's again in the morning. And that's where I really try to zone in on the demos that I'm doing, either completing one, which doesn't necessarily always work, or starting or planning for the other one. Thursday is a big painting day. That's when I really try to get most of a big chunk done. And on Friday, I try to get a fair amount done. And weekends are hit or miss. If it's busy, I mean, who'd think things would be busy during the pandemic? But, weekends, the houses are busier. If my kids come by, I want to visit with them, if we decide to go for a walk. So a little bit flexible. I only get really crotchety if a lot of things have gotten in the way during the week. And then the next thing I know, it's like, oh, I really want to do something. And then I can't do something because and it's not, of course I want to go out for a walk. Of course I want to visit so I'm not crotchety because I have to visit with my kids. I'm crotchety because I didn't get enough paint time in. So that's it. But I do have a pretty consistent schedule. So, yes, other things come in and throw it asunder, but that's okay. I always know there's another day. And I do focus on Monday is a planning and get everything together day. And that frees me up because that means that when I go to do things during the week, even if I've only got an hour or something, I've already got an idea in my head of what it was I was going to do. Maybe I've already cut the papers or I've done some sketching or truthfully even printed out a photograph. So that's typically it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no trouble at
Thank
all. Yeah. Any other comments, questions?
Betsy, it's Amy.
Hi,
This
Amy.
was so fun to see. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Yes.
I had a question. So how now, this is so vibrant from what I'm seeing on the camera. When you go to submit it, do you varnish it or spray it with a clear fixative, or what do you do to keep it just the way it looks now then when you're done?
Well, part of it is your materials. So I use this, the UART, all the papers that I use have a good tooth, which means that unless I've overloaded the paper, just a little knock on the back will take off the residual dust that may be sitting on top. But I do not spray paintings unless I'm sticking them in plastic. So if I'm sticking them in plastic, well, I should say plastic, these plastic sleeves. If I'm sticking them in plastic sleeves, I do give them what's more of a mist of a fixative. And the one that I use is, this really silly name. It's fixative, Fixtaif. And it's by Weber. And I've used it for a while. It does not. The problem with some fixatives, especially ones that have a lot of alcohol content in them, is that it will darken your painting. And I want the painting to look the way it is when I'm finished. So it's rather judicious with the amount of fixative that I use.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other brands, and people speak up. I know Jean Rosier Smith has recommended one, same thing. She does more of a mist. You can do it, while you're painting too, especially if you need to gather the tooth back up again. I tend to use fixative more when I am using my boards that I make with the pumice ground, just because of the nature of the pumice ground. There's lots of troughs that pastel can collect. And if I want it to stay there, sometimes I do have to mist it more. And I do go outside. Whenever I spray, I go outside and I spray it outside. Partly because the can says, something about how, it's noxious. It's like, you'd pass out with the smell. It's horrible.
No.
But you do have to just be careful with it. That's it. But sanded, thank you. Sanded papers, you really don't need to do any spray fixative with it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hi, Mary Jane. I didn't see you show up earlier. And Gloria. Hi, Gloria.
Hi.
Marge.
Really, really enjoyable. It amazes me how fast that you can get your image down to get your painting done. Considering, I just finished one from December. I mean, it takes forever, but then I don't always have the ability to paint every day and stuff like that. So
yeah. No,
I'm getting better at it now, but I really enjoyed this because it helps. It helps.
And I absolutely love watching artists work. Because everyone's got their own style, their own technique. How are they putting it together? And not everyone always does everything the same. I don't paint every painting the same way. I use a couple of different approaches when I'm painting. Well, more than a couple. I use several different approaches when I'm painting. So it is really nice to watch somebody work. So, and it's fun to actually do it for people too. So I really enjoy doing it. The only pressure is you really don't, I think I've said it before, you really don't want to screw up, but everything's fixable.
Yeah.
And if it's not fixable, there's the kitchen sink and you just wash it off with water and reuse the paper.
maybe at some point you would demonstrate doing that.
Yes, that would be fun.
Yeah, and see how you might reuse the toned paper from having it off.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that you get some really nice, because what happens is it tends to leave what I refer to as a stain. So you may not get the exact, but especially the deep or the vibrant colors, they stain the paper. your top layers will probably just disappear. And if you get in there and you touch it when it's wet, you can kind of create almost like a marbled effect. So
Yeah.
it is fun. But yes, that's actually a good idea. We could do a whole class or workshop on what to do with
On recycling.
Yes, of course. Hey, I mean, this sheet of paper is probably, well, I don't know, the whole pad was 20 odd. I think I got 10. This sheet of paper is probably a $4 or $5 sheet of paper. I'm not gonna, if it didn't turn out, I'm not gonna just throw out a $4 sheet of paper. I'm gonna, even if I just chopped it up and used it for this sort of thing on the side, or little paintings, I mean, it's just so much of it is recyclable, repurposed. It's worth it, definitely. But well, thank you so much for coming today. It was.
I want to thank you too.
Everybody. Well, yes, thank you.
I was a pastel person before I picked up oils, and I have all my stuff neatly stashed away. So I think it's time to get it out.
Yes, there's something about pastels. I really think it's that tactile. I love holding them. I love that, feeling of really getting in there. And I have always loved to draw. So I think it's kind of a blend of both. I'm actually able to paint with what was often considered a drawing tool.
Right.
So
I went from watercolor to pastel, and I was just so pleased with that painterly feel that it was really a lovely experience.
It is. And then just touching the different ones of them, like when I picked up this, where is it? These guys right here, these Blue Earth, they're like, look at my hands. I mean, I'm hardly even touching it, and it's just coming off in my hands. I just really like that feel.
Can you share the name of what you put on your hands?
Oh, yes. There's a couple of different ones out there. And actually, someone was telling me that it's called what's environmentally safe, Invisible Care, before and after skin care. And most of them go by barrier cream. That's, I think, the general term if you're looking it up. And I believe quilters, people that needlepoint, a lot of people use these. Paint. Truthfully, it's amazing. Now that I've gotten used to them, I used to not like that feeling of, the lotion on my hands, but that'll come off super easy. And no matter what you do, your nails are a mess. I mean, everyone can tell you're, an artist. And you can't put nail polish on because then that gets, all wrecked up when you're painting anyway. So.
Not to mention your clothes.
Yeah. That is true. Okay. Well, some of you I will see before April when we do this again, and the rest of you, keep in touch. And it'll be the first, I can't believe we're saying April. It'll be the first Thursday in April. We'll do it again, and I'll probably have it, I'll shoot back down to 10. I got an awful lot of people for this time. I think some people were able to sneak in during lunch hour sort of thing if they were working. So we'll figure that out. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye
Thank
now.
you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Betsy.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Amy.
Thanks. This was fabulous.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad I could brighten your lunch hour.
I just always sit at my desk and eat through my lunch. But what was really funny for me was that a lot of the time I had to attend to what I was doing. And then I would turn back